Wrestling fans, what's going on, man? It's Black Couch Booking here with a brand new video. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you're old to the channel, Couch Crew, what's going on, man? Hope you guys are ready for a great upload today. Follow me on Instagram at Real Black Couch Booking and join my Discord. Links in the description down below. But we also have a Patreon. Yes, the Patreon link should be down below, or at least the URL should be in the description. Guys, please join my Patreon. You're gonna get exclusive content, wrestling content, self-improvement content, fitness content. You'll get the chance to actually interact with me, set up meetings, Zoom meetings, and things like that. And you'll get to actually request videos that will be on YouTube. So check out my Patreon, see if it's interesting if you want to join. And I'm uploading two videos very, very soon, if not already. So, please check out my Patreon, man. It really helps support the channel and helps me to increase the quality of the videos. But you're here on YouTube and I'm still dropping that fire content for the YouTube channel. So I want to talk about pairs of individuals who I think should win Money in the Bank this year. I have five pairs, which is 10 individuals, one man, one woman, of course. And also, y'all know I'm not that simple. I'm gonna do some fantasy booking, give some scenarios and give my reasons why these individuals, should win the Money in the Bank. And I really thought long and hard about this. And, I don't think the obvious answers are there. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready to get right into it. Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez are having a match as we speak. Shout out to Roxanne Perez and Rhea Ripley. So I call this first pair the obvious pair, the up and comer young pair, Lyra Valkyria and Bron Breaker. I will say this. I don't think that the Money in the Bank has to be, the up and comer, like the obvious choice, the up and comers, the young ones, the new stars being built. I don't think it has to be that obvious. But if it was going to be obvious, I think these two for sure would be a great candidates. Initially, I thought these two like back to back together should win King and Queen of the Ring, but apparently we might not even have King and Queen of the Ring, and we'll have Evolution, the women's paper PLE instead. So I don't know what the situation is. Y'all let me know if that's confirmed or not. But as far as Money in the Bank goes, I mean, Bron Breakker is already in an interesting story with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, and him winning the Money in the Bank would like guarantee that he wins the World Heavyweight Championship from Jey Uso under the tutelage of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. Imagine Paul Heyman coming out with Bron Breakker as the World Heavyweight Champion. It'll give you Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman type of vibe. And I think, he would fit that vibe. And him cashing in, because he's gonna be a heel essentially. Him cashing in like on some sneaky stuff, it wouldn't be too crazy, or him just cashing in on a match and making it a triple threat would fit the vibe, I think. And I think Bron Breakker is deserving of it. I mean, he's a multi-time IC champ. The IC champ is supposed to propel you to the next level. So I think Bron Breakker, could bring that vibe back. I mean, we just propelled Gunther to the next level after he was IC champ and he won King of the Ring and he was the World Heavyweight Champion. So why couldn't Bron Breakker have a similar run like that after being mentored by Seth Rollins? Then you have Bron Breakker turn on Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins wants the World Heavyweight Championship from Bron Breakker. Paul Heyman sticks with Bron Breakker because he is the future, and that's how you do that. Now, Lyra, you have faith in Tiffany Stratton. You put the ball in her court. You pushed her to the moon with the Money in the Bank. She had momentum. People are gonna say Lyra's a charisma vacuum and a whole bunch of blah blah blah. We need to build legit women baby faces. There are few and far between, and the ones that we have are starting to get booed. The Bianca Belairs, obviously, I don't think she's gonna be a baby face for too long, but the heels are getting more cheered, and the baby faces that do get cheered, like a Stephanie Valkyrie, she's not the greatest promo ever, but she's a beloved character. Io Sky, who's also a baby face, their baby faces, their in-ring ability is so unmatched, but they can't. They're not the promo girls, at least not fluid English. Whereas Lyra, even if you don't think she's a great promo, I think she can hack it as far as cutting a fluid and a concurrent promo that you can understand, that the crowd can get behind. The crowd does the entrance with the bird sounds and all that. I think that it can work. I'm not saying she got to be the greatest women's champion of all time, but if you want to build the next generation and the future, you have to. You did it with Tiffany Stratton, do it with Lyra, and then You'll find the other two, three, four after that, but you got to build these two pillars because when they clash on the main roster one day, it'll be more meaningful that they clash, both being women's champions, even if they're not women's champions at the time. I thought Lyra was a good candidate for Queen of the Ring because she lost to Nia Jax in the previous year, and her getting it back would be a good story. But if we don't have that, then I think Money in the Bank would be fitting for her, and she dropped the IC belt to Becky, then win the Money in the Bank. That would be a good way to transition off of that title and transition her to the main women's division. So I think that would be a good idea. Just those two. And who she cash in on? Her and Io Sky can have a banger. She don't gotta cash in on Tiffany. Have her and Io Sky have a banger. Respect versus respect. We could do face versus face and heel versus heel. Her versus Io, she don't gotta turn heel because like I said, we gotta build legit baby faces. And I don't think the fans would turn on her if her and Io show respect leading up to the match. These next two are very interesting. Two SmackDown stars who I think could both benefit from this. I'll go LA Knight. I think LA Knight is in a very weird position. He should not be trying to get the United States Championship back for a third time. After losing to Jacob Fatu, he should move on. He's challenged for the WWE Championship. Well, when Roman Reigns had it, it was like a fatal five-way match, whatever the case may be, but he's not never been officially in that division. He was just added to that match essentially. I do think LA Knight is a guy who, because they keep putting him in that position of, being in the mid card, that there will never be a justification of why he moves up unless he does something like a Money in the Bank. I mean, look what it did for Damian Priest because you couldn't convince me without Damian Priest winning Money in the Bank or the Royal Rumble that he should just be propelled to the World Heavyweight Championship division. Whereas LA Knight might be in the same position because WWE keeps putting him in that position. If WWE just flat out came out and said that, oh, he's a main event Venture type of guy, we will believe it because he's such a good promo and his matches are serviceable, but you keep putting him back with the United States Championship division. It should just be Drew versus Jacob Fatu straight up. It shouldn't be a triple threat, a fatal four way, nothing. It should just be them two, and that'll be a banger match, and that'll help put Jacob Fatu over it, and Drew McIntyre wouldn't lose sleep over it. There's no reason why LA Knight should be inserted into that. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Him versus John Cena and him losing is fine, but if you have him win, you have John Cena go through his whole run, not losing his WWE Championship, and then on the final day, you have LA Knight cash in on John Cena, and you put LA Knight over on John Cena's last day because every star goes out on their back. What a way to go out on your back by elevating the next guy, LA Knight, because it might not be Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes might not get it back. So why not help a guy like LA Knight who could actually, be a great baby face as the champion? And on the other side, I would go Jade Cargill. Initially, when she and Tiffany had that match, I thought that they were going to put the title on the line because what was going to happen is you're going to have Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax at WrestleMania for the title. They had no plans supposedly of Tiffany cashing in on Nia Jax prior to that. So, we got Jade versus Tiffany after that, which is a good teaser. And every cash in doesn't got to be a shock or a surprise. I think Jade cashing in and saying, I'm cashing in and my match will be at WrestleMania. I want a guaranteed spot at WrestleMania will be a good way for her to do it because she's not a coward. She's a face and she's super duper strong. She doesn't need to sneak cash in on Tiffany Stratton of all people or Io Sky if they make it that long with the belt. So you have Jade announce she's cashing in at WrestleMania despite who's the champion. She wants the WWE Women's Championship. And if Tiffany makes it that far, you get her versus Tiffany. If Bianca Belair turns out and wins it, you get Bianca Belair. And whoever else beats Tiffany for the belt, then you get them. So I think that would be a good way for Jade Cargill to have a meaningful match at WrestleMania that is justified. She don't got to take a Royal Rumble win away from anybody. And then an Elimination Chamber. You could finally get off of that whole if you win the chamber, you're number one contender. I think that's a stupid trope, and I think we need to get rid of it. I would rather see the mid card defend it in the Elimination Chamber. Like when the Intercontinental Championship was being defended in Elimination Chamber, it was actually fire. So imagine the women's United States Championship or women's Intercontinental Championship being defended in the Elimination Chamber instead of making it a number one contenders match. I think that would be dope. You can make it the men's one could be a number one contenders match, but I don't think the women's one has to be. Absolutely not. Speaking of Roxanne Perez, like I said. you want to build the future. If that's what you want to use the money in the bank for moving forward in this decade, then look no further than Roxanne Perez, who I believe is officially a Raw superstar. She had the debut bands on last week. A lot of people didn't catch that, and she's fighting Rhea Ripley right now. Roxanne Perez cashing in on Io Sky would be perfect. Roxanne Perez cashing in on Rhea Ripley after Rhea Ripley wins the title back would be perfect. There, in any scenario, Roxanne Perez cashing in works out for her in a very good way because she can skip the line. She don't got to be women's IC champ, which I do think that's a part of her future. But this woman is a multi-time NXT Women's Champion. She can cash in and get the belt. I think that will be good for her, and I will be looking forward to seeing that in all actuality. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think Roxanne Perez is super talented. I'm very high on Roxanne Perez, and it took me a while. I didn't like the babyface run, but when she turned heel, I kind of saw a new side to her that really could have worked out for her. So I was really going for it, me personally, and I think Roxanne Perez cashing, with the Money in the Bank contract would do more for her than it did for Tiffany. Not to say that Tiffany isn't more over. I think Tiffany on the main roster as far as the cheers, as far as the matches and stuff. I'm talking about like high profile matches, not in ring ability, might be more over than Roxanne Perez, but I do think that Roxanne Perez has that spark that could get tapped into and that she would be, I don't know if I want to say more entertaining to watch, in my opinion. So I think Roxanne Perez could actually do that and could be very serviceable in that way. And speaking of which, is Roxanne Perez going to get a win tonight? Hmm. Doesn't look like it. Give me 1 second, guys. Riptide. Oh, DQ. Cool. Anyway, anyway, another DQ finish 2 weeks in a row, huh? But yeah. And then Jude is gonna hate this one. Karrion Kross. I wholeheartedly believe, and this is gonna feed into the thumbnail, right? I wholeheartedly believe, and I mean this when I say this, that this year the Money in the Bank should be a redemption thing. I don't think it should be about building the future. I think it should be about giving people a shot who would not have a shot otherwise. And Karrion Kross is one of those guys. And like I said, people who know me know I've always liked Karrion Kross since NXT, since the ball head, since him getting hurt, coming back and winning the NXT Championship again. I loved him and Scarlett's presentation. I loved his matches. I love everything that Karrion Kross was doing in NXT. And when he came back and he debuted against Drew, I loved that as well. But they just didn't give him much to do after that, in my humble opinion. So, the Final Testament stuff could have worked out, but they didn't. They did Razor and Acam. They did them dirty, in my opinion. So I do think that Karrion Kross can be a serviceable champion. Um, he fits the vibe of a world heavyweight champion to me for sure. And I like him on Raw. I don't want him to be back on SmackDown. I like Karrion Kross on Raw, so I would prefer him to cash in on the Raw champion, whether that be a Jey Uso or whoever else, Bron Breakker, whatever you want. It could be that. And then you can have banger matches with the likes of a AJ Styles. I think giving Rusev a shot against a guy like a Karrion Kross as world champion would be justification for why Rusev would get a world title shot. And then, two big guys just going at it. So, that's just my humble opinion. Otherwise, I think this would be a great redemption arc for Karrion Kross because he's doing all this other stuff, turning people heel, going against a guy like AJ Styles and letting him win and trying to help him turn and stuff like that. I think he's just a guy who could just be world champion. He got the promo, he got the skills that pay the bills, and I think that this man is really, one of those guys. So I really love Karrion Kross. Like that's just me personally, man. Karrion Kross, I've been rocking. Killer Kross, shout out. Okay. My black folks, I got you. Naomi, like I said, a redemption. And when I say redemption, this goes beyond wrestling. This goes on walking out of the company, going to TNA, reinventing herself, coming back, reinventing herself again with a new character. The caution version of Naomi I would love to see that Money in the Bank briefcase wrapped up in caution tape. I would love to see Naomi cash in on a Tiffany Stratton who has defeated Naomi multiple times, if I'm not mistaken. They've had battles. Naomi's had battles with Nia Jax, and I just think that Naomi cashing in and winning a women's championship in 2025 would not be a part of anybody's bingo card because honestly, when she came back to WWE, I thought that they were either going to punish her or not give her anything of significance, which in a kind of way, playing third fiddle to Bianca and Jade, not, getting beat for no reason and having these nonsensical matches, but she stuck it through. She's here now, and now she's one of the most talked about women on the roster. Her and Jade Cargill's feud and build up to WrestleMania was more interesting than both women's championships feuds. Maybe not the match itself was more interesting, but the build up was, the emotion was. And Naomi is she's deserving. You know what I'm saying? She's earned it. She's earned the opportunity. I would love to see a redemption arc for Naomi as far as becoming a women's champion again. Carmelo Hayes. This is one that honestly I don't think is gonna happen. I don't think it's probable. I would love it, but I just don't know if they would do it. Like I said, I think Carmelo Hayes has more of an MVP type of trajectory where him and Miz might beat the Street Profits for the tag team championships. Him and Miz will definitely have a MVP and Matt Hardy type of relationship, and they'll end up, turning on each other one way or another, especially if Trick Williams goes to the main roster. I can see him and Trick becoming a team again, and I could see Carmelo Hayes becoming the United States champion before I see him winning Money in the Bank and actually winning the title in 2025, 2026. But if they did go that way, it would be a very easy way to justify him becoming champion. And it would be an easy way to bring up Trick Williams to help him win the championship. Then you have a Miz Taraj type of situation where the Miz thinks he's the leader of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, but Carmelo Hayes got the title and Trick Williams is a hot commodity right now. And they kicked the Miz out the group. And Carmelo Hayes, he has his guy, Trick Williams, back again to help look out for him. But Trick Williams is not playing second fiddle. Trick Williams is still, he looks at himself as a star, and he then wins a mid-card championship. So they both got the belts at the same time. I think that would be a good story for those guys, and it would help them on the main roster, even if their runs aren't that long. And this one, I call this my long shots, but redemption. Shayna Baszler, and somebody said this on my Shayna Baszler video. I believe I'm not mistaken. That would be a great way to bring Shayna Baszler back. Like I said, even if the title reign is short, a way to put Shayna Baszler back into, the fourfold would be to win the Money in the Bank. And then, like I said, somebody like Shayna Baszler don't got to cash in cowardly, but if she did, it would be justified because she's the perfect heel. Her beating up on a pretty Tiffany Stratton Barbie doll, cashing on her and taking the women's WWE Championship would be sensational. Or cashing on the beloved babyface Io would be sensational as well. So either way, she would get good heat. She would be the champion, and you could build up Zoe Stark and have Zoe Stark turn face and then go against Shayna Baszler and take the belt from her. You could kill two birds in one with one stone, obviously. And then Sami Zayn, who was a guy that I'm not even the biggest fan of, but he should have one world title run in WWE. It's very disturbing to me. And I'm not saying it, and somebody's gonna say, you think everybody that's oppressed or you think everybody that didn't have a run deserved to have a run. No, it's not that. Sami Zayn, even someone who I don't even like that, I could be objective. Sami Zayn deserves to have a title run. Sami Zayn, you can't say he can't cut a promo. You can't say he's never been over with the crowd. You can't say he's not entertaining. You can't say he's not fun. This guy made a conspiracy theory gimmick work. This guy was the odd one out in the bloodline and made that work. This guy and Kevin Owens main evented 30 WrestleMania 39 in a tag team match and made it work. Even though I like the Rhea Ripley and Charlotte match better, it still worked. So you can't say that Sami Zayn shouldn't get something back for that, bro. If you give all that to the business, you should get something back. And I think Sami Zayn is a guy who should be champion one time. Like I said, it's about vibe. World Heavyweight Championship vibe would definitely work for Sami Zayn. I like Sami Zayn on Raw more than SmackDown, and I would not like to see Sami Zayn cash in on John Cena. I think LA Knight is one of the only people who I would be like, you know what? Okay, that make logical sense to me. And it will work out. But that's just my opinion. I want to know who you guys think. Give me your pairs in the comment section down below. And like I said, Patreon, check it out. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time over there. I'm dropping a lot of content and I'm looking forward to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I'm looking forward to getting at least 10 Patreon members, in this month, and we're gonna keep building. And we're gonna do lives over there. We're gonna drop content over there. I'm telling y'all, man, it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be well worth it. I will never cheat y'all. I will never cheat the grind. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.